Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy DJ Spin. I am with We Time Podcast, live and direct most of the time on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Hey, I am just checking in with you guys because it's been a little bit since we've been on, and it's been a lot of crazy things that's going on. So, just wanted to see if somebody get in here and chat with me for a couple of minutes or so, and talk about all the funky, crazy things that happened this past week. First of all, as you can see, we are still here. So after the total solar eclipse, we're still here. Nothing blew up, which is good. I think that's good. That's clap worthy. Also, the night before, the crazy thing that everybody was saying, or broadcasting, that if you didn't turn off your tablets or your phones or any of your electronic devices, that the cosmic rays would radiate you and something would happen. I was hoping that I would have got superpowers and ended up like Spider-Man. As you can see, it did not happen. So I am still here doing the podcast. My co-host Tish is not here this evening. She is handling some other things, and we just hope and pray that she gets here sometime soon. Maybe not this podcast, but the next podcast. But moving forward, and other things, the news. What's his name? Oh yeah, yeah. Mr. Majors. Mr. Majors was back in the news. Uh, One of my friends, Dre Mack, was actually able to go out to be there for the Jonathan Majors fan club and support him as he went through his trial. He got sentenced, and instead of getting jail time, they actually gave him probation, which is great for him. He shouldn't have gotten charged for that. And that's just my opinion. That's my opinion. With all the information that came out in regards to that, and with the video, it's kind of hard to see that sticking on somebody, especially with him running away from the lady. It's crazy that he got charged for that, but that's neither here nor there. Um, Also, if you guys are keeping up with Diddy's allegations are running rampant. His son, King Combs, was actually brought up on charges now for SA allegedly. So I don't know what's going on in the bad boy camp, but apparently it's running rampant right now, which is just crazy. Allegedly. Let me go ahead and put that out there. We don't know the facts as it came out. Diddy hasn't released a statement himself. The only thing that he's done is post on his Instagram old videos talking about you can hate me now. On the other things, as you know, we were supposed to have a tournament, or the We Time podcast with me and Tish. We were supposed to go at it. We still have not had our bowling tournament, so I'm still waiting on her to have time to go ahead and get this settled, because I'm sick and tired of her bringing it up whenever we have conversations on the phone. She always wants to talk about it, which is just crazy. I think that she needs to go ahead and just admit that she ain't ready, she ain't with the smoke, and we can just keep it pushing. We won't have no problems. I think we'll be fine. It'll be okay. She don't have to worry about it no more. Moving forward. What else do we got to talk about today? Kamora Lee, Ioka, her daughter is dating somebody that's only a couple of years younger than her father, which is crazy in my mind. But if you think about it, Kamora and Russell were the same thing, older guy, younger lady. And if you have been keeping up with them, they had been beefing a lot on live, which was just crazy for him just to kind of disown them almost, just because of what's going on with him and his ex. But then to turn around and her come out and say that, if you don't go ahead and give me money, I'm gonna find me a sugar daddy, and turn around and do exactly that and find her a sugar daddy. So I mean, it just depends on how you look at it, but she said she was gonna do it and she did it. Man. So let me check and make sure we are live on Facebook real quick. I'm checking. All right. Looks like we are on here. And cool. Um, Local news here in Kansas City, everybody's seeming kind of bummed out about L House closing down. Um, I am not going front, man. I had never been to L House. I didn't even know it was a big thing until everybody started talking about it, and then it ended up on like the major news and stuff like that. Like it was just this major hit. I don't know. I'm just talking about it just because it's like one of the big things that everybody's talking about right now, besides the eclipse and wanting their money back because it wasn't a total eclipse because we weren't actually in the area where it was coming over. Oh man. So I was hoping to actually have a guest with me today, but I think I'm just gonna have to go ahead and wing it because nobody was available today to go ahead and actually interview. And Tish is real good at this. She does this by herself a lot. I'll be honest with you, I am one of the type of people where I don't like the camera on me unless I'm doing something. Like if I was making music right now, I'd probably be in my own zone, wouldn't even worry about the camera. But right now, it's you can see me sweating. I'm sweating, y'all. I'm sweating. Um, but I can do this. I can give you guys a little bit of info in regards to mental health. Um, I can't even remember exactly when, but I started working with a guy with DAC, Andre Harris, and he set me up with counseling. And I will I will say this that it's helped me out a lot as far as being able to process things and actually search deeper inside and get a better understanding of myself and then also how I look upon things. So I very much wholeheartedly, stress it out that, if you are thinking about getting counseling or looking for a therapist, go ahead and do it because you never know how many deep rooted traumas you actually have that you haven't really been dealing with until, you kind of hit something and it bubbles up and you don't know what to do with yourself because you never really dealt with it. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's worth doing those deep dives and processing. One of the things that I started working through was it was healthy shame and toxic shame. Now, a lot of people don't talk about shame because no one really wants to admit that they're ashamed of anything that they've done in life. But then to understand that there's different types of shame that keep you bound up and you never really advance in your healing because you never really address it the way that it is. Now, the difference between it is a healthy shame and toxic shame is the toxic shame is more or less like saying that, let's say, for instance, you have a problem and the problem is you. You take ownership of the problem, and it's almost like a spiral down. It's like you're never able to get away from it because of the toxicity. Just like a toxic relationship, you're never able to get away from it because of the way you see it, or as long as you're interacting with that person, toxic, codependent person. Um, but the same thing with the shame is since you never really want to address it, it never really gets cleared up and it's always there. It's almost like getting caked up until you actually start to see it for what it is. Now, if you actually do the work and start looking at it as the toxic shame and the healthy shame is more or less like you if you had a problem or you made a decision, you were able to process it and go through the motions of knowing that I made this decision. It was the best decision. I made a mistake. I could move forward. If it's toxic, I am the problem. It's because of me. And you keep going through that cycle of this is my fault. It's my fault. This is me. It's because of me. Everybody else is doing rainbows and sunshine, and I got rain clouds and stormy days. And that's that toxicity of thinking in your mind and changing your mindset. You can actually go forward and start dealing with a lot of that stuff. If you start let's see, with counseling, and I'm gonna be blunt. When you start dealing with it, it's almost opening Pandora's box because you don't really understand exactly what you're getting into because it's basically like the muck and the mire, stepping off into slop and you don't know what's down in there. If you never really addressed the issues that you've had in the past, uh yeah, you can have a lot of untapped stuff that's in there, and then opening yourself up to that, being vulnerable to that will definitely throw your emotional state off because it's so much stuff. It's this overstimulation of emotion whenever you're getting into it. And if you're dealing with a good counselor, they'll walk you through that. But I'm just being honest with you. Once you start opening yourself up and becoming vulnerable, doing counseling and actually trying to do that work and digging that stuff up, you'll realize that it's a lot of stuff. I mean, it'll go back to your childhood if you walk it back. There's a lot of different things that you probably never really touched on or tapped on because you just out of sight, out of mind. But it's almost like, if you just keep throwing things into the closet, your closet eventually is going to fill up. And then that last time when you try to open it up to put something in there, everything falls out on you. That's the same thing with your emotions. If you never really clean it up or process it or deal with it or get closure, eventually it's going to be an avalanche of stuff coming on you. So if you don't have a counselor, get a counselor. If you go to church, talk to your pastor, find somebody to talk to and get that stuff off of you. Ventilate, nobody can really deal or breathe in a stagnant area. And if your mind gets stagnant and you're not moving forward with stuff, you're going to find yourself basically suffocating underneath the heaviness of your emotions. I mean, dang, that's a lot of stuff to be talking about, especially by yourself. Um, and we only 12 minutes in. Jesus. Um, and I got ticks out of the yin yang. So, what else can we talk about? Dealing with a lot of the stuff that you deal with on a day-to-day basis may seem like more than what it is if you're not really getting unburdened with a lot of past hurts, regrets, and things like that. A lot of stuff will start weighing you down. It'll make you not want to do the things that you love. It'll make you this depression. Let's call it what it is, depression. And I've done it, I've done it before. I got into a point where I did not want to talk to anybody. It was a whole month that I didn't talk to anybody for real, for real. I didn't talk to my pastor. I stopped going to church. I did uh this was about a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I just basically stopped doing everything. I mean, I would go to work and come home, go to work and come home. And I really didn't have anybody to talk to. And I was dealing with somebody as far as a counselor, but the problem with that counselor was she had stuff going on. And it was kind of hard with my work schedule and what she had going on. I was just like, she was good when I was able to go ahead and make time, outside of work and go meet in person, but doing the Zoom calls and stuff like that and not being personable, it made it seem like it was a disconnect. And then it almost seemed like, this hit and miss with the conversations and things like that. So that's another thing when you're dealing with counseling, make sure you have somebody that's actually meeting your need. Don't go to counseling or go to a counselor just thinking just because they're a counselor that this is going to help you out or do something for you. No, you need to make sure that this person is actually meeting you where you are and walking you through it or giving you the tools to start processing and chipping at the things that are bothering you. I mean, just to get a little personable about myself, Uh, when I was dealing with my past hurt, like one of the biggest things was dealing with my father passing. And during that time, I was on the outs or just having a real bad time because I was married at the time, and we were going back and forth. We were battling over little things, and it was basically I didn't know how to communicate my emotions, and I bottled up a lot of stuff, and I just kept going. And when I did, I really didn't know how to communicate it properly with things. Also, was things that she did that it wasn't a good fit because neither one of us were getting anything resolved. And then on top of that, with my father passing, I had a big traumatic thing happen, and I wasn't in a good place, and I wasn't in a good place with her. So I was getting doubled down on. So when that happened, I basically shut down emotionally, and I didn't know exactly what to do. It's like I didn't even know if I could cry because it was just so heavy. And I tried to push through it the best that I could, and then I got to the point where I bottled it up and I just didn't touch it. I didn't say anything about it. And then once we finally got separated and divorced and stuff like that, that same feeling, because I had that memory of my father passing during the time that I was already starting to go through the process of, excuse me, us separating with her and also dealing with the divorce. So all this stuff was just sitting, and I didn't realize that it was such a heavy burden that I was carrying. And then as I started going through the process of understanding exactly what was going on inside, I started to realize that I was hurt at my very core, but I put so much stuff around me, or I kept myself so busy that I did not acknowledge that the hurt was still there, and it was very prominent, and it would actually come out in certain situations. Like, my whole thought process of getting married was get married, have kids. And with my father passing, you know, I didn't get a chance to do that. So as a son, I felt like a failure because I did not achieve that goal of having a child and my father actually meeting his grandchildren. So that was in the back of my mind plaguing me. And then this having that whole ideal of being married and failing at marriage is rough. And I've seen other men go through marriage and divorce, and it just hit them like a ton of bricks. I had a close friend, he almost just had a mental breakdown, and I mean, when I say break, he reverted back to a childlike state because it was so hard on him to process it. And, I really think that, since he had friends around and family around, he was able to beat that. But there's plenty of people out there that never actually reach out to say that they need help or are going through so much trauma that they feel like they can't get help. And I just be want to be one of the first people to tell you that there's always help out there. There's always people out there that want to help out. And I mean, I found that out recently, like doing volunteer work at Flourish KC. And if you have any family members that are going through a situation with housing, they're starting over, they domestic disputes, abuse, or anything like that, and they got a place and they're needing to go ahead and refurnish it. Check out Flourish KC. Flourish KC is a furniture bank, and they will actually set up a whole household. And the crazy thing about it, since I was helping out volunteering there, uh, I've seen them, help people out that have multiple kids. I mean, there is a six-person house that we loaded up when I was there, and they don't discriminate. They want to help people out, and it's a beautiful thing to see that there's a way for you to get help if you need it out there at Flourish KC. So check them out if you have any people that are going through that, where their housing stability is bad, and they're starting over, and or somebody that's getting away, from a bad situation, and they need to get furniture. They'll set you up with furniture one time only, but at least that'll be some way to go ahead and get you a couch, bed, TVs, like your dishes, all that stuff. They furnish all that stuff for you. And all you got to do is go there and pick it up, which is a great thing. So again, check out Flourish KC. Um, a matter of fact, they just had a great event out there at First Baptist Church out in Grandview, and they raised a bunch of money to be able to take care of their goal was 1,300 families this year, and they are running real hard. And the reason why I know is because when I went out and volunteered, man, I think I moved about, no kidding, about 50 mattresses trying to get the warehouse cleaned up and ready. So yeah, make sure you get out there. Make sure you go out there, or you actually give that information out to somebody that you may know or care about. Flourish KC. um I don't think I'm gonna be on here alone with you guys. Nobody's getting in the chat and saying what's up, which is cool. um but I just wanted to get on here and check in with people, see what's going on. It's been a while since we've been on here. The past week we were both sick. I was having issues sneezing and coughing. I think it was just allergies. Like right now, I'm in the nose. But yeah, we were both sick last week, and this week it's just me. So, I'm sorry I don't have the same infectious energy as Tish by myself, but I'll get on here more often and chat it with you guys and set up more interviews, because I think we need to go ahead and get back on that path of getting more people involved and showing what's able or what's available here in Kansas, because I think there's a lot of resources that a lot of people don't get tapped into because they just don't know. And I mean, that's why we've been pressing, the mental health, getting them active in the community, and this trying to build a dynamic that we want to see in the community, because what's that saying go, be the change you want to see in the world. And I would love to see more positivity in the world, because I mean, we've seen plenty of negative. You get enough of that turning on the TV, let alone going outside, it seems like half the time. But there's a lot of good things that are going on in the city, and I think we all need to be made aware of that. Um, there are a few people that I've been reaching out to in regards to getting on here. Um, I would love to get some more female entrepreneurs on here and just talk about the struggle in this building a brand. And it's rough. I mean, consistency and stuff like that. But yeah, I would love to go ahead and get them on here. It's a couple people that I've been in talks with to try to get on the podcast and say what's up. But you know, it's all in time. It's not my timing, so soon and very soon though. Yep, yep. Anywho, I think I am gonna go ahead and call it. It's been about 25 minutes, and I am out of things to talk about, but we'll be back again next week. We Time Podcast every Tuesday, 7 p.m. If you would like to be on one of the broadcasts, feel free to reach out to me, Tish, or you could go ahead and just get on the podcast and just let us know in the chat, and we'll go ahead and just get you a episode, and we can go ahead and get going on whatever you guys are into in the community, or if there's a certain thing that needs to be brought to light. We would be more than happy to talk about it. So again, this is Dave, DJ Spin. I am signing off with We Time Podcast. Come through and see us again next week. Peace.